Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Paper Crafting Saturday. I'm Leslie Watkins. So it's a little snowy here today, and I've been looking through the new catalog and getting excited by all the Valentine and springtime theme sets. And so I thought it might be fun to do a little floral Valentine today, sort of a vintage inspired Valentine. So this is the set that I'm looking at. This is called Two-Tone Flora, and this is the one that has these sort of, I think of this as looking like an old vintage tablecloth from the 40s, and I just love this style. In fact, this is the kind of style I have in mind to decorate my vintage trailer with, Belle. And this set actually coordinates, so here it is. This is what it looks like, and the dies. The dies come with this great big, all over, very elaborate die, which looks like this. So it's very lacy. I'll show you that in just a minute. But this set coordinates beautifully with Shaded Summer, which is a bundle in the annual catalog, one that is another one of my favorites. I just love the style of this kind of spray of flowers here, and you have these wonderful sentiments for just about every occasion. So I like these two together, and I also have a couple of other sets here. So I have Celebrate Sunflowers because I like this sentiment that says know that you are loved. And then I grabbed this one. Now I think pretty sure this is a retired one, but it had a nice love in it, and so that may be useful too. Now I'm just getting organized here because I've got a lot of stuff. I'm still in the midst of cleaning and reorganizing my studio. So things are flying all over the place. So let me just check to make sure first that we are broadcasting and you can see and hear me. And that looks good. Good morning, Ginger. Good morning, Kelly. Oh, yes. Oh, Ginger, I hope you're okay in California. I'm so sorry to see all of those headlines about the weather and the video. Okay, so let me just put these things aside for the minute because I've got some other stuff to show you as well. So the palette of color that I've chosen is Coastal Cabana, Pear Pizzazz, Calypso Coral, Petal Pink, Very Vanilla, and So Saffron. And I also have some Mossy Meadow ink. I have Pear Pizzazz, Calypso Coral, Coastal Cabana, Flirty Flamingo, and Daffodil Delight. So I'm going to be using a lot of different things today. This may be a little bit longer than usual video. And to get ready to do this card, I'm going to do a lot of prep work. and I'm going to be using my die cutting machine. Now, if you want to use a die like this, you're going to need to have the full-size die cutting machine, the large one. The little one, the mini, will not accommodate a die like this. So that's what we're going to be using today. And what I want to do first is I just want to do a lot of stamping, because I want to have, I don't know exactly how the card is going to look. I have an idea. All right, so I have a sketch here that I've made. And oh, one other thing that I'm using is the Heart Pack punches. And these are in the annual catalog, and I love these punches. It comes as a set. There are 2 hearts. One of them has a scalloped edge, and the other one has a straight edge, and that nestles right in the center of the scalloped edge punch. Now, these punches have been in the catalog for a while now, and there's no telling whether or not they'll carry over next year. So if you like these punches, I recommend that you get them before they are no longer available. If they are discontinued, I don't know that. So anyway, I'm going to begin with two-tone Flora, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using the lined stamps. Now, the way this works, it's a 2-part stamp, so you'll see that these all correspond to one another. So if you wanted, for instance, to use this larger, inkier stamp, you could use that to stamp an undercolor and then go over it with the line work. But I'm going to be using the cardstock for my color, so I'm just going to use these stamps instead. And I'm just going to grab a bunch of blocks. Should be plenty. And hey Danielle, good morning. How are you? So I'm going to use my larger blocks for the larger flowers. Let me just take this noisy plastic out of the way. There we go. And just work my way down. There's a lot of stamps in this set. There are 15. I think I need another block. Wow, so that's a lot. So you can see I have the line work for 6 different flowers. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Because it's a photopolymer set, I'm going to use my piercing mat to give me a cushier surface so I get a nicer impression. And because I've never used these stamps before, it may take a couple of tries to get a nice impression. So I'm just going to go ahead, starting with the So Saffron. And I'm going to do some tone on tone and see how that looks. That's pretty good. I'll do a couple of those. Since I have it out, I'll make several. because I know that I'm going to be wanting to use this set a lot in the future. So I'll make 4 of those, and then let's see, I'm going to have to get some more cardstock here. So let me grab some more petal pink. And for the petal pink, I'm going to be using Flirty Flamingo ink, because I wanted it to be just a little bit darker. And again, I'm going to give myself plenty. There we go. I'm going to try to stay organized and put the ones I've used already to the side. Now, looking at my stamp case for reference, I think I want to do I'm going to do the same thing with a different stamp. There we go. Maybe I can squeeze another one in the middle there. All right. Now I'm going to grab the Calypso Coral. This may need to be re-inked. That's a little bit better. Just going to keep moving through my colors. I'm going to grab the Coastal Cabana. Okay, and then finally, I'm going to do that. I'm not sure if I'm going to use these little tiny ones, but just in case, as my friend says, I'd rather be looking at it than looking for it. So there we go. All right, so now I'm just going to get my machine out and start cutting. Oh, before I do, let me get my leaves. And I'm going to have to get another block. I like having plenty of blocks. As you can see, I've got many multiples of the blocks that I use most often. So there's that. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure which way I want these leaves to go, so I'm going to try them 2 different ways. So I'm going to begin with my Pear Pizzazz Tone on Tone. Oh, this paper is scored. I just grabbed it out of my scrap bin. Okay, there we go with the pear pizzazz. And I'm going to do the same with the little double leaf. And then I'm going to switch, and this time I'm taking my mossy meadow see how this looks. Not very good stamping. Let's try that again. We'll see. We'll have to see how this looks. I think the pear pizzazz is better. Let's try these little leaves. Well, you can see how this could make a very pretty DSP if you were making a pattern that made a little more sense, but to do just a pretty leafy design on the pear pizzazz would be very pretty. Okay, well, I think I've got plenty now to keep me busy. And do a quick cleanup here. Okay. So here are the thinlits that come with this set. And I'm going to grab my cut and emboss. Here we go. And I'm just going to begin. So how many of you have already started your Valentine cards? We have a Valentine card challenge going on in the oh, now I'm going to get mixed up. Is it in Something Old, Something New, or is it in Dandelion Paper Pals? I'm not sure. Okay, let's see how this looks. This is so pretty. I really, excuse me if I get my head in the camera, but this is just, I think this is such a pretty stamp set with these dies. So we're just going to go back and forth, cut out it. Uh-oh, just dropped my die. All right, hold on a minute while I go searching on the floor for my die. I got it. I have a patterned rug on my floor that makes it a little tricky to see dies, but fortunately this one was right where it sounded like it dropped. Okay, get that lined up. I'm going to be doing a lot of die cutting, so if you have some music that you'd like to put on, you might want to play your favorite song. Over Christmas, I discovered on YouTube this channel that had medieval Christmas music, and as they played this wonderful, beautiful music, they had a changing pictures from medieval manuscripts, and it was so gorgeous. So you might want to take a look at that if you like that kind of music. I love it. And the manuscripts that they showed with all the illumination around the edges were exquisite. So I will be watching that again. All right, so there's that one. And I'm going to switch now to this. Oh, this is going to be a little tricky. Oh, I think I got lucky. All right. I think that goes like that. Looks pretty good. Well, we're going to go with it. There we go. Just turning it a little bit to see how many different ways it seems to work, but I think this is right. So I'm just going to go with that. It looks pretty. Now, this is going to take me a little while to do this, so if you need to go and do something and come back, you're welcome to do that. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I am happily die cutting here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to flip this plate because it's getting a little bit bowed. When I was using that big intricate die before, I had to run it through the machine several times. So yeah, I just want to caution you that that big die that comes with the two-tone Flora set is extremely intricate. It's gorgeous. I mean, it makes something that looks like paper lace, but you do have to run it through the machine a couple of times back and forth to make sure you get all of those little things. And the other thing about it is that it's going to take you a while to poke out all of the pieces. So if you're in a hurry, that may not be the best choice for you to use. But if you have a little time, and hopefully Saturday is your paper crafting day, and you have the time to do that, it's well worth it because the effect that you get is absolutely extraordinary. I'll show you that in just a minute. It's so fine. Really, it just looks like lace. So I thought that would help increase the vintage look of this card. Okay, now I'm going to switch to this die. Now these are very close to one another. This is going to be a little bit tricky to figure out which is which. So I'm going to take a guess and try this one. Oh, that was a good guess. Oops, I got it upside down though. Not such a good guess. All right, let's see. There we go. Cute. These are very sweet. You know, I can see using these roses when my beautiful crocus roses are blooming in the garden because they look just like this. Get that lined up. There we go. Trying to do a good job on this today so that the card comes out looking nice. I'm really actually, I've been thinking about this card for a couple of days now, and I'm pretty good at visualizing things ahead of time, and so I did draw a sketch. But sometimes, how many of you are like me, that you wake up first thing in the morning and you start thinking about your designs? I do this a lot, and I just sort of imagine how things would look oh, I missed that one. See, I shouldn't be talking. But I just kind of imagine how things will look in different ways. Anyway, that's me. And so this Valentine card has been on my mind. Now, this is, let's see, that looks pretty good. Looks like I got it right off the bat there. Go with that. Do you use an adhesive sheet with the intricate die? I do not, Kelly. I like those adhesive sheets with words. When you have those beautiful, and I really like those sets actually that come with words. Depending on the script. I'm a little bit fussy about what kind of scripts I like. But for those, the adhesive sheets, I think, could be useful. For this particular die, though, you're going to see me glue it down with the liquid glue in just a few minutes. And I think, you know, I feel like I have better control over it that way. You know, with the adhesive sheets, you get it down once and that's it. So really, I mean, whatever works best for you. Everybody has their own preferences. Okay, so there we go with that. And next is this one. We're almost done. I had to check to see what Sophia Maria was doing. I heard a very suspicious sound. I don't know. She's got something that she's playing with. I don't know what it is. All right, here we go with these. Now again, see if we can get this lined up. Here we go. Oh, that's so cute. All right. Kelly says, I design all the time. Good for you. I'm constantly thinking about my designs. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. All right, looks like let's get this on the light side so I can see better. What I'm doing is there's a little sort of a double shape here, double lobed shape that seems to fit over those lines really well. So I think that looks right to me. And Ginger says, oh my gosh, I walk around taking out paper and dyes while I'm making my coffee. Well, see, birds of a feather flock together. I'm really looking forward to seeing all the designs that people come up with in the Valentine's swap and also the birthday card. So you've got plenty to keep you occupied. I'm also very excited about the Something Old, Something New group, because there are so many people that are seem to be really enjoying mixing up the retired product with the new product and having a place to, ooh, I really missed that flower, that's no good, and having a place to be able to share their cards. So that seems to be growing. If anybody out there is interested in joining Dandelion Paper Pals or Something Old, Something New, just let me know. The difference between the groups is that the Dandelion Paper Pals was a Facebook group that I set up for people who follow me and needed a place to share some of the things that they were making, and so I created Dandelion Paper Pals as a place to share your creations that have been inspired by something that you may have seen on the show here. The Something Old, Something New is a group for stamping up demonstrators who love their retired product and want to be able to see more designs and more ideas of how to use their favorite sets. Excuse me, and also, you know, combining those with new product as well. And they're private groups. All you have to do is make a comment, let me know who you are, and then find those groups and ask to be invited in. And I will let you in and you'll be able to have access. So don't be shy. Go ahead and do that. Let's see. There it is. And then my other group, of course, is my team, the Dandelion Cottage Design Team, which is also open to anybody who'd like to join. And you do not have to have any previous design experience. It's a place where you can learn and be among supportive people and get inspired. We have monthly meetings on Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you live. You can join from the comfort of your home. And let me just get this squared on here. And we have creative challenges. We have team swaps. We have monthly meetings that have where we share ideas and have monthly presenters come and talk about all sorts of different things that are interesting and fun. We do a little business training. And by the way, you know, somebody was saying that that they thought that if you joined Stampin' Up! Or the Dandelion Cottage design team that you had to sell product or demonstrate or have classes, and that is simply not the case. Anybody can join just for the discount, and you don't have to share what you make with anybody if you don't want to, but you can still enjoy that discount, and you can get the starter kit, which is a fabulous deal. It's going on right now, and it's better than ever during Sale-a-bration until February 28th. And the special is that you can select any products that you'd like. You make your own kit. It's all up to you. And you can select $175 worth of product from either the annual catalog or the new mini catalog, and pay only $99 for it and get free shipping. So I don't think it gets any better than that. And then there's a ton of additional benefits from both Stampin' Up! And from Dandelion Cottage Design that you can find out about on my website, because there are way too many benefits for me to talk about here. But check it out. It's a great way to get your tools and supplies, anything you like at all, and get 20% off of all of your future purchases so long as you remain active. So well worth it. And there is absolutely no obligation. You don't have to make videos if you don't want to. You don't have to try to sell. You can be your own best customer. So don't be afraid. If you have any questions, just let me know, and I'll be happy to talk to you. You can either direct message me or email me, whatever works. Oops, sorry. I think I just hit the camera. Alright, we're just on the tail end here. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be using these little flower clusters, but I'll cut out a couple just in case. And then the leaves, and we'll be ready to start designing. Most of the time I do this work before I come on to do the video, but I thought you might like to see how these dies work because they are so pretty. Do I have that the right way? Maybe it goes this way. That's better. I think it goes that way. Okay. Last one in that color. And now the leaves. We're using every single die that's in this set today. When I first started, when I joined Stampin' Up!, I had a very specific reason for joining, and that is that I wanted those good papers that they had for making boxes. I had tried a load of other papers from the craft store that were just not folding or doing what I wanted them to do. They were cracking. So I decided to give Stampin' Up! A try, and I absolutely fell in love with the products because of the quality. I have a fine art background, and I'm very fussy about the papers and tools and things I use. I'm also kind of a tool hound. I love making things, and I like having the right tool for the right job. But I was new to paper crafting, and I was not familiar with all of the possibilities. I was clueless. I had no idea, and of course I started watching the YouTube videos, and I saw all sorts of amazing things, and I wanted to try everything. But I kind of dug my heels in when it came to die cutting, because I just felt like that was beyond something that I wanted to do. Haha. Now look at me, 5.5 years later, die cutting like mad. But the thing that really changed my mind, how many of you remember Eastern Medallion? It would have been in 2017. Eastern Medallions, I'm pretty sure that's the name of the set. And it featured all of these very intricate kind of Middle Eastern shapes, and when I saw that set I fell in love, and so I had to have it, and that's when I decided to go for the dies and the cut and emboss machine, and I have never regretted it. It has sort of changed the quality of my projects, so that now, you know, I've fallen in love with all the things that you can do with the die cutting machine, like the embossing folders for adding texture. And of course then I discovered journaling and using all the different textures to add that whole other element of design to the project and to my journal pages, my note cards, the boxes. It just makes everything so much more professional, and just, you know, a whole other level of quality. So if you're on the fence about whether or not you want to get one of these machines, I would strongly recommend it. I think you'll love it. I just have to move this on this side so I can see it better in the light. But usually I do all this stuff behind the scenes. And the reason why I do so many, as I've told you many times before, is because I want to have lots of options. And I don't mind having a little envelope or a box filled with different die cuts, because sometimes when you're in the midst of designing something, it's just really convenient to be able to just fish through a box or an envelope and find some extra things that maybe you hadn't thought of. And just seeing them all together like that just gives you ideas. Well, I think, oh, that one didn't come out so good. You see, it's tricky talking and doing. All right, I'll pass it through one more time because I don't like the way that one came out. So let's do this. After I get done here with this part of the program, let me do this one at a time. I'm going to start sponging these things, which is a whole other time-consuming part of what I want to do here. So that's why I said bring coffee. If you see me post on the Facebook group to let you know that I'm going to be going live and that you should bring coffee, it means it's going to be a long day. So I hope you all have your coffee or your tea, whatever your preference may be. And I hope you're in your craft rooms, crafting along with me. How many of you are crafting? Here's Linda. Hi, Linda. Kelly remembers the Easter medallion, and Danette says she loves that set. You know what? My Stampin' Up, somebody's going to have to remind me of this, because if I don't write things down, I forget. But my Stampin' Up anniversary is in March. I think it's March 22nd, either the 17th or the 22nd. I forget. I have to check. But why don't we, to celebrate my anniversary with Stampin' Up, I think I'm going to invite everybody to participate in an Eastern medallion challenge. So this will be obviously in the Something Old, Something New group. If anybody still has that set, I sure do. We'll have an Eastern medallion blast from the past. I think that'd be a lot of fun. How many people have it? maybe I'm the only one. Does anybody else still have that set? All right, I think that'll do it. And get the machine out of the way and take a look at everything that I've done so far. So look at all these beautiful things. All right, I clear the surface here a little bit. Gosh, I need another table behind me to keep all my things. I have a table behind me, but right now it's completely covered with trying to get things organized. I use those plastic shoe boxes to put my projects in, and one of the things that I'm working on is getting them all labeled so that I can look at the bins on the shelf and just go through the labels and know exactly what's in there. All right, so here are my inks. Here are my sponges. So I don't have every single color, but I have enough here to get close. So this one is Calypso Coral. And I probably should have re-inked this before. Oh, but it's okay. There's enough ink on there. So I'll give you a close-up of this in just a second so you can see. So that's what that flower looks like. And I love it. So I'm just going to I'm not going to do all of them, because I'm not going to be using all of them today. I'll just do a couple for just today's project. And if I need extras, I can always go back. Okay, and what I'm doing is I'm adding a little bit extra ink to the center of the flowers to give them a little more dimension, so I can do that a little bit on this one too. Now if you don't have these sponges, these were discontinued. You can also use the daubers, and I'll probably be pulling out my daubers in just a few minutes also. And I'm going to do the same on these. So even with the tone on tone, it just gives it that slightly darker shading towards the edges that I think makes them look so much more finished. And some of the inks work well on the tone and tone. Some of them get a little bit lost. So you may want to try a slightly darker ink. So for instance, like for these saffron roses, I used the Daffodil Delight, which is just a slightly darker in value. That reminds me of the Watercolor Card Club. Tomorrow is the last day to subscribe for this month's lesson, and it's going to be on values. So this is really an essential lesson in painting, is to learn how to control your values and how to use them. So we will be concentrating on that this month, and we're also going to be using that that free stamp set from the Sale-a-bration folder called In the Country. So I'm going to use that little landscape that I painted the other day. Maybe we'll use the other picture too, I'm not sure. But I thought that would be a really nice one to go through the use of values with. So stay tuned for that. If you're not a member of the Watercolor Card Club, you can find more information about it on my website. And I will be also posting below, after I do the live video today, I'll be posting all the links to all these things that I've mentioned, and also the products that I'm using. That will include all of the colors as well. All right, well, these are starting to look extremely pretty, and I'm just going to keep moving along here. Oh, did you see what I just did? I kept using the same sponge. All right, let me clean that. And let's see if we find a better one. I don't have a Coastal Cabana, so I'm going to use this green one. This one had a little bit of yellow on it from the Daffodil Delight. Here we go. When you sponge the edges of your flowers, even if your dye didn't get to, like, so for instance, here's one where I was a little bit off center, and so I didn't get the ink where it was supposed to go. By just adding a little bit of sponging, it saves the piece and makes it completely usable. Okay, so the sponging also helps to repair any missing spots that you may have if your paper just moved a little bit as it was going through the cut and emboss machine. All right, I think that is plenty of those. And then finally, and I am going to use this sponge again for the green, I'm just going to clean it off a little bit just by doing that. I'm going to grab my Pear Pizzazz. Danette says, why not add a swap to that challenge? If you have the dies, you could share die cuts with those in the group who don't. They can participate too. Maybe they can trade back. Okay, well, let me think about that. I can't think about right-brained stuff with left-brained activity. So I will talk to our swap director and see if that sounds like something we might want to do. But it sounds like a good idea, Danette, to be able to give people, well, but, yeah, okay, we have to think about that. You know, there's a lot of people in the Something Old, Something New group. There's something like 200 and some odd people, and there's more coming every day. So I'm not sure how many people will actually participate, but we'll see. We'll put it into the suggestion box and see what we can come up with. Oh, Lawrence is here reminding me that March 17th is Bracken's birthday. That's true. Bracken, the very large orange cat, will be celebrating his birthday on March the 17th. And Lawrence is probably right. It's probably why that date is popping into my mind. All right, so that is the sponging with the pear pizzazz, but I want to try the mossy meadow too and see how that looks. Since I have it right here, let's give that a try. And let's see if I have a. I guess I'm just going to keep going with this sponge. This might actually be my original mossy meadow. So I'm going to start on my darker leaves first. Oh, that looks really pretty. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding a little bit of the darker color to the tips, and I like the way that looks. So I'm not adding it all around, but just on the edges. Let's try it on this one. Can you hear Houdini talking? He's talking to a visitor. I was up in the chicken coop this morning, and I noticed one of the chickens was kind of puffed up, and that's not unusual during winter for the chickens to get a little puffed up and, you know, not feeling so well. So I decided to tuck her into my coat to keep her warm, and I brought her back down. She's in a little cage and warming up, and I'm just giving her some special food and water, and she's near Houdini, and he knows, of course, that she's in there, so he's making all kinds of sounds to her, but she's kind of ignoring him right now. It's not unusual to lose a few chickens in the winter time, especially the older chickens don't always have the stamina. Even though, you know, I do the best I can to give them plenty of nice comfy bedding. On the very cold days they get a little extra heat just to take the chill off, but it's still cold. And you know, there's a lot of people out there that disagree with that, but my feeling is that the chickens come from jungle fowl, and even though they've been hybridized and bred, they've developed the ability to withstand cold temperatures. When it's very, very cold, you know, just because they survive doesn't mean that that it's not taking a toll on them. And you have to be careful that, you know, they don't get frostbite on their toes and their combs. And I love my chickens, you know, they're my pets. So I don't mind giving them a little bit of heat. All right, there we go. All right, so if anybody out there has moved away and is making coffee or doing something else, now we're going to begin designing with all these beautiful things. And I want to show you just want to make sure, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spritz my fingers to make sure that I don't transfer any ink. So I just have my little spritzer handy, and I'm just going to spritz and wipe. If you have handy wipes, or what do you call it? Not handy wipes. Baby wipes. If you have baby wipes, it does the same thing. All right, so there is my gorgeous palette of colors, and I think you can agree that these colors are really just so pretty. I went ahead so as not to spend too much time Oh, Danette is offering to be one of the die cutters for the challenge. Ooh, Danette, that would be really helpful. We'll have to talk about that. I'm reading. Danette's cleaning her kitchen. There you go. So, okay, so here is, check this out. Excuse me. Look how beautiful this is. So that is that very intricate die. And I actually cut away a little bit here just to make it a little more interesting. Here it is with the entire shape intact. Okay, and what I did was, so on this one, when I cut out the die, I made the paper a tiny bit smaller than the actual die, and that gave me a very thin border. Okay, and then down here it cut off the border that was part of the die. So what I did was I just went in with my snips and I neatened it up, and I kind of really like the way that looks with the partial border. Then I did it again, and this time what I did was I made the paper exactly 5.5 by 4.25, and that meant that the paper was a tiny bit bigger than the actual die. But it worked out really well, because what I was afraid of, that the edge of the die would leave a dent in the border, but it doesn't. So my advice to you is to use a piece of paper that is 4.25 by 5.5. So the actual size of the card base, of a standard size card base. And I think that that worked out really well. So here it is on a Pear Pizzazz background. This is the Petal Pink, and that's what we're going to use today. Now in this case, I cut this piece of Petal Pink 1/8 of an inch smaller, okay? So it's just a tiny bit smaller than the perimeter of the die cut, and I like the way that looks. I also was thinking about possibly doing a tone on tone, which I think is gorgeous. All right, so that is really beautiful. And because this die does not cut out the edge, you could use this in like a box top, and that would be particularly beautiful. You could also, I could see using it on all 4 sides of like a votive 3D thing with the light shining through. So lots of possibilities with this die. It's so pretty. Okay. And I could change my mind. I do really love the tone on tone. So let's just see what else we have here. I went ahead and I punched out some of these heart shapes using the heart punch pack punches, and they look like this. So I wasn't sure how I wanted this to be. So they look something like that. I wanted the center of the heart to be light enough so that I could stamp my message. So let's get that taken care of. We'll try both of them. So let's see how the love looks. If you hear that machinery in the background, it's someone working in the basement to get my sink and my sink pump moved, because we had to move some things around. All right, I'm gonna go, let me start with Calypso Coral this time. And that looks really pretty. Try that on one of my very vanilla pieces. Okay, that looks great. I like that a lot. Let's try the other sentiment. And give this a quick clean up and put that away. Trying to stay a little bit organized here. Okay. All right, now I'm going to use Know That You Are Loved from the Celebrate Sunflowers and see how well this fits on the heart shape. I think it'll work. And, well, I like the way the Calypso Coral looks, so we'll keep going with that. Oops, upside down. Flip it over. That's stamping. There we go. It's better. Okay, those look pretty good. You've got one more here. I'll do it on this one too. Okay. Now I'm going to be using some dimensionals, so I've got my dimensionals out. Put this away. Do a good job of cleaning that. Let me just do that a little bit better. That's better. Okay, so now the way I glue down my, push all of this aside. The way I do this is I like to use the silicone craft sheet, and for all the little places that I can't get easily, I'll just dab it on there. In this case, there's enough surface, I'll zoom you in, there's enough surface on this die cut that I think that I can just use my liquid glue fairly easily. So I'm going to begin by just putting a very thin bead, very, very thin. I'm not even squeezing the bottle, just enough to get it started. And then I'm just kind of pushing it along with my nozzle. Just squeezing very lightly now and then. All right, so that's the main part. And then there are a couple of leaves that are sort of free, and I don't want those to lift up. So anywhere there's a place that it looks like a loop of a petal or a leaf could lift up, I'm just adding a little reinforcement. And of course, in the easy places where there's a little more of a thickness, I can add plenty of glue. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Just checking for any spots that give me a good area to add my glue, sort of staying away from the thinnest places. Okay, now my tweezers. Love, love my tweezers for this kind of very careful work. Now, actually, I think I'm going to do it this way this time because my paper is a teensy bit smaller. My petal pink is a teensy bit smaller than the die cut, so I can actually see it better from this side. And there it is. So that was pretty easy. It's not the gluing is not the hard part. The trickier part with this die is just making sure that you get all of those little pieces cut out properly. Now here's an example of an area where this is coming up a little bit. So all I do is I take a scrap, so these little skinny strips, and I just put a tiny little dot of glue on the tippy end. Okay, hardly anything at all. It looks like that. All right, and then what I can do is just kind of lift that up a tiny bit. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I'm just sort of touching it gently to get the teensiest amount of glue, and that'll be enough to hold that down. Just give it a minute. Okay, now I need a card base. I'll do that later. Let's do this first. So for this card, I want it to be a landscape card. I think the die was intended to be a vertical or a portrait oriented die, but I'm going to use it in the landscape mode. And I need to select my hearts. So let's see how this looks. I'm going to glue this down. I really like the way the petal pink and the Calypso Coral work together. Blushing pink, what is it? Blushing Bride? Is that still active? That might work instead if you don't have the petal pink, but the petal pink looks really pretty. So I'm just going to try this a couple of different ways and see which one I like best. Oh, Danette's birthday is the 14th of March. We'll have to make a note of that. Alright, I kind of like the, I like the darker edge, I think. Let me try it this way. Excuse my fussing here. I also have some ribbon, and I have no idea. This is older ribbon. I have no idea what it came with. Obviously, it was part of a set because it's not stamped with the information on the spool. This one is the Calypso Coral satin ribbon, but this one has a little bit of sparkle to it, which I kind of like. So I'm going to want to include some of this ribbon on the card as well. And maybe we'll just have that kind of flowing across the surface a little. I'm going to put a little banner cut on the end. I'm going to grab my glue dots. I'm probably going to use every kind of adhesive I have here. Let's get those out. Gosh, this is going to be a really long video. Where is my, here it is. Keep the ribbon a little bit on the simple side because we're going to have a lot of other things going on, but I do want those pretty ends. Oops, stuck to my finger. There we go. All right, and then just secure the other. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it just a little bit of a bump to make it a little bit more dimensional and just kind of secure it in the strategic places. Okay, one more. There we go. All right, so there's my kind of flowing ribbon design. I'd like to get 2 hearts on here if I can, but I may be asking for too much. I think that'll work. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this one down flat. Kind of tuck that under a little. Yeah, tuck that. So there's that one, and then this one I'll pop up on dimensionals. And Sophia Maria has kindly perforated the tip of my dimensional pack so I can find it easily. That on there. Kind of thinking I Love Lucy here. All right, so there are the main features. So now that I've got all of those things established, now I can just tuck the flowers in all the spots that I have room for them. And I may have made way too many flowers for this project today, but hey, they're really fun, so I don't mind. And they're so pretty. So I'm going to give this big one a little bit of a curl just to give it some shape. And I might even give that a little bit of a cut. Like so. So I can curl that up a little bit. Give it a little more. Okay, now this big one is also going to go on a dimensional. Tuck that. Let's see. I don't want to obscure the writing too much. I don't mind a little bit, but not too much. I'm going to see if I can move this a tiny bit over. There we go. All right, and then I can squeeze another one over there. Too big. That one. There we go. Tuck that under there. And let's see what the blue does for us. It's kind of a greeny blue. Just curling that to give it a little bit of a bend, and then that dimensional is going to help support that. Okay. Now, just want to make sure I have all the pop this under. No. All right, so let's say maybe one more of these. I'm going to tuck that under there. There we go. Okay, we're almost there. Just going to add a scattering of leaves around. Now, I like my leaves to be curly, so I'm just going to give them a nice curl going in opposite directions. There we go. All right, I'm going to use my glue dots for this. So let me grab, where are they? There they are. Tuck that under. And I want to get some of these ferny looking leaves. And I think there's room for a dimensional there. And then my glue dot. One more. Okay. Go. And we could use another flower here. Let me cut this one a little bit. This just helps to give me a little more room to curl the petals to make them a little more dimensional. Alright, so I can have some going down, some up. And let's see, that right there. All right, and just a few more leaves, maybe, over here. So I can make this a little bit smaller. I'm just going to trim that out. I don't need quite that many. It's looking pretty good. Okay, that's my card. So all I need to do now is get my card base. I'm going to very quickly just push this stuff out of the way. And I'm going to score this at 4 1/4, cut at 5 1/2. this would also make a beautiful box. So if you wanted to make a little box filled with Valentine chocolates, this would be just gorgeous. And you want to get really fancy, you could put a little bit of lace around the edges. I'm not going to do that today, but that would be nice as well. All right. So there it is. And I am going to grab my, I'm going to grab my box of embellishments and see what we've got. Well, my box of embellishments seems to be missing. Thanks to the reorganization of the craft room. So I'm going to have to do that off camera while I search for it and see where it went to. But that is my very elaborate card for today, and I do apologize for the extra long paper crafting Saturday, but I thought it would be fun to do this along with you for once so that you had a chance to see the whole process. So there it is. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me today, and thank you for all your good ideas. I will think about doing that that Eastern medallion swap. And Danette, I'll be in touch with you. Maybe we'll have a Zoom call and see if we can figure all the details out. Stay well, stay happy, stay creative, have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next on Monday with Marvelous Monday right here at 12 noon live Eastern Standard Time.